Hello and welcome back to Pedicus Videos. This is part 2 from my Mass Effect 3 1 Year Gone review. As I was talking about earlier, the multiplayer, the races I would like to see would be like an Elk or with like a giant machine gun on its back, or the Hanar using its tentacles to like essentially strangle the Cerberus soldiers or something like that, and like maybe a Volus as well, which would be quite fun. That would have been good, and maybe they will do it, but probably not, as it's quite odd, I guess. They one thing I did have a problem with, because the multiplayer I've talked about before, and you know my opinions on it. So I would like to talk about the Galactic Readiness System, or Galaxy of War, which was a good concept, but it wasn't well executed. Now they had, essentially, you go around these side missions collecting like various artifacts on planets. It was quite fun, and you get something from that. You get points and you get experience, maybe money, and you get these things, points in your galactic readiness. And they weren't really that useful, especially for me, as I did everything I could in the single player game. Didn't play the multiplayer when I first played the story, and I didn't get the Galaxy War achievement at all. I was 50% ready, even though I'd done everything in the game. I had full power gun. So that was quite annoying. But also the ending, which I'm going to talk about now, the payoff wasn't that good. So I would have really wanted to see a Krogan riding a Kaliosor, because in the game there's a sort of side mission where you've got to find the fossils of these dinosaurs, they weren't dinosaurs, but they're called Kaliosors, which you just see them as dinosaurs, and they can be brought back to life using scientific methods. And you find that when you do this mission, and you've done the person's brought back to life. I can't remember who it was, but there's a bit of text at the end which says that the Krogan now can, the Krogans used to use them as essentially steeds, like horses or something. I think it says they either used them, or I think it says they use them, and they're going to use them again, like to fight the Reapers. Now, the ending, I would have really loved to see. It's like I guess it's essentially like a battalion or cavalry charge of Krogan and Kaliosors, which would have been really funny actually, and really good. But we see, but at least just leads me on to the ending, which didn't have that much to it. I don't really want to talk about the ending because everyone's talked about it. Everyone has an opinion on it. Everyone knows about it. The God Child didn't make sense. The ending, the three choices, the colours, which was quite funny. As I thought everyone knows it was really ironic that Casey Hudson, essentially the guy in charge, said Mass Effect 3 won't have an A, B or C ending. We'll make sure it doesn't have that. And what do you know, they did. They had red, blue or green. It doesn't really matter what you choose, as the colour, it just essentially the cutscene, the colours are different, and that's it. And then so the whole thing with the God Child didn't make sense. And one of my main issues with it was it didn't show anything that you'd done in the game to any of these side missions that should have helped. And in the final battle, you just see loads of ships flying at each other, flying at the Reapers, trying to take them down. You don't see any of these like really cool things you get. You don't see the Quarian fleet or the Geth that much. You might see them, but you don't see anything good to do with them. Like, you don't see the Reapers expecting the Geth to help them, and then the Geth start destroying them. And the extended cut wasn't that good either. It was just still images and somebody's voice about your choice and the results of it. So in the synthetic one, everyone was slightly green coloured, which doesn't make any sense. And it wasn't that good. They just used it to try and appease the fans. So that was my sort of abrupt, sort of compressed thoughts on the ending. Now, the ending I can deal with, because I had a lot of fun at that point, and the ending made a bit of sense in terms of if you just had the one choice to destroy the Reapers, that would have made more sense. So I chose that one. It would have been okay. It would have been not satisfying. It would have been slightly just, no, not maybe not just, but it would have been have some satisfaction as an ending. Obviously, it could have been better, much better, if they had more time to do it. And people talk about EA being in charge of sort of getting it out to get money, which can be quite annoying. The extended cut didn't really help it either. It didn't improve as much as it should have. One of my main issues with the game was the beginning. The introduction of the character James Vega and Shepard's sort of beginning on Earth wasn't that good. It was quite sort of abrupt and didn't do much for the story apart from showing the invasion going to Earth, which caused Shepard to try and save everybody, like as if the invasion happened to any other planet first, which it probably did, to be honest. I'm not sure, but they would have attacked. It would attack Thessia maybe first because of the infrastructure there, but I think they didn't attack Earth first, just because it was either closer. I think it was because it was closer, and also because it was a really good way to start the game to take Earth back instead of taking every other planet back from the Reapers. It's all about a home, even though you're only there for the beginning and the end. But they could have done a really good, like, there are a lot of games when you start off in a prison. There's the Elder Scrolls games when you're at least Oblivion when you're in the prison, and Skyrim when you are a prisoner, you're about to be executed and the dragon shows up. There's and then there's of course the Gears of War game when you're in the prison. Gears of War 1, that is. So Mass Effect 3, you've been told that you're being grounded and you're essentially in prison, but nothing much happens. You're just there talking to the people in charge essentially. And Shepard was obviously in comfort, but it would have been better if they would introduced James Vega better, or not introduced him at all, which he could be an interesting character, and I'm guessing he probably was in terms of his like side story that they've made in the comic or an animation or something. If they'd introduced his character better in the game, it would have been quite a lot better. They could have also, which I thought would be better, if they started Shepard in like a prison cell or in his like room, and he tries to like the Reapers attack and he has to escape himself, then meets up with Anderson or something. But to show that that Earth was in trouble, they had to have this committee meeting with all the sort of video feeds of these potential cities in the world sort of systematically being destroyed. And also the beginning started in, I don't think they explicitly said it, but it actually started in some place like Seattle or something, which wasn't that good. And it was pretty good. It looked quite good, and the visual effects were quite good, but they didn't explain why he was there. It wasn't really a major place where they were. If they had it in London, and he goes back at the end, if they had it in London, it would have been. I mean, Shepard. I'm assuming Shepard's American because everyone in video games is American. Well, I mean, all the main characters like Shepard. I mean, I can't really think of examples really, but Master Chief's probably American. All his characters in TV shows as well. So everything's set in America, which makes sense because it's the main sort of country in the world. But going to Earth, if you went to like New York at the end, and there was the Statue of Liberty, like a giant Reaper set on the Statue of Liberty's head or something, that'd have been pretty fun. Or if they went to Washington DC and they go to the White House or something, or there was a Reaper on the on some of the memorials and things, that'd been really fun. But they go back to London, which is okay, it's fine. That's okay. But Seattle, I think it's Seattle. They didn't even have the that really awesome. They didn't have any like the other good landmarks or anything there. They just had this new sort of futuristic city, which was quite boring actually. It looked pretty good, but essentially just running up and down walls and stairs that just happen to be there for you, and then there's enemies. But if they had it like somewhere better, like New York or Washington or sort of LA or something, that'd been quite fun. If they had it in London as well, that'd been good because it would just like going back to where you were, and you could have some flashbacks, like when you're in London, flashbacks of being in the cell or whatever, which would have been good. But the way they did it was essentially the story didn't start that well. They went through that, quickly jumped, went to Mars, which I forgot to mention earlier about in terms of the story, which was quite good. Go to Mars, because you find out you hear about the sort of the Prothean sort of cache technology there, and I think you go there on Mass Effect, I think the first game maybe, and explore it or something. But in this game, there's the thing with the whole Cerberus stuff, which was pretty good. And I like that as the beginning, because you're still near to Earth. But when they sort of jump from Earth to Mars, just quickly climb up to Normandy and let's go, that wasn't really good, and it was essentially quite a letdown actually. And that was probably one of my main, I think. So to sum it all up, my main problems with the game were the beginning, the ending obviously, the multiplayer, the changing gameplay in terms of the Call of Duty-esque Call of Duty-esque FPS-ization or whatever it's called, and I still haven't decided a name yet. And the story in general wasn't that good. The multiplayer, I haven't really said that. So those are the main problems with the game. Now, pretty much everything else about the game is really good. And even though my issues with the game, to you they might not be an issue. And still, in terms of as a game, it's a solo game on its own, it's a very good game. As part of the series, though, it's not that good. It's not as good as the previous games in terms of overall. I think my favourite game is probably going to be Mass Effect, because I love the story in it, especially in Averia, which I mentioned in the game, in a video, about the hub there, all this corporate espionage and intrigue, and that was pretty fun. There was a lot of very good aspects of Mass Effect 3, which were really fun. And in conclusion, I did enjoy the game, but there were a lot of issues with it. There were too many for a game of this caliber that should have been one of the best games of all time. Sort of the standout game in this whole series. Basically where Mass Effect series would take over the console, I guess, war essentially and everything. Now, I would still, if you haven't bought it yet, I'd recommend you still go get it. But just go around it with a pinch of salt or a cellar of salt even. And if you already got it, let me know what you think. And also let me know what you think of the future games that might come out, that probably will come out. Let me know what you think of the DLC, the Omega DLC, the Leviathan, and the Citadel DLC, and as well as obviously the multiplayer DLC, which wasn't that good, and which I've mentioned. Let me know what you think of all the DLC. I'll do a video about the story DLC in terms of Omega, Leviathan, and Citadel. There's not that much to talk about except for some aspects quite interesting and stuff. So that's all for this video. Remember to like the video, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. If there's any game you want to review like a year on, or maybe when it comes out, or just after it comes out, or any game that you want to hear my opinion on, post in the comments and I'll try and get to it. So until next time, this is Pelagus Videos.